TV. So we appreciate you keeping up to date doing that.
So we know rain's a huge concern, but
Yep.
Cheetah, also these winds, we saw that damage in Doug's hit right there.
Yeah, I mean, from Sienna Plantation, we're talking either an EF0, EF1 possibility of a tornado. We did have tornado warnings popping in and out overnight. We still have active watches in effect. However, let me tell you what our peak wind gusts were. Eagle Lake Shores, did have a peak gust of 71 miles per hour down to the Sugar Land Airport at 58, Freeport at 54, all the way down to Harvey Airport. Overnight saw a peak wind gust of 46 miles per hour. So we are feeling tropical storm force conditions. Even though a Category 4 hurricane made landfall, of course, near Rockport, we are still feeling tropical storm force conditions. Outer band still impacting areas Galveston, Fort Bolivar, Texas City, San Leon. This was the same feeder band earlier that was impacting areas out west. This has continued to move. So the big picture, I like this, that we haven't seen any training set up. However, this is day one of about a 4 or 5 day event. So we want you to stay put over the next several days with your storm preps in place. But again, big feeder band. Again, this was some of that blinding, really heavy rainfall across portions of our eastern side now. Flash flood warnings in effect. The big red box that you see, that's actually a tornado watch in effect until 1 o'clock this afternoon. So you may see an isolated tornado pop up, spawn, and it can do some damage, just like what we saw in Sienna Plantation. We'll have to wait for confirmation, though, from the National Weather Service through this afternoon and this evening. Take a look at what happens here. These, again, feeder bands just continue to move across the area. You're probably going to get sick here over the next 24 hours of hearing about these feeder bands, but this will be the most impactful part of Hurricane Harvey here locally, will be the amount of rainfall that we are forecasting over the next 4 to 5 days. Broader view, no need to get out on the roadways with the next 24 hours. Take a look here how, again, by 8 o'clock this evening, we're still looking at Hurricane Harvey sitting almost over the exact same area. It's expected to stall out over at least the next 24, maybe even 48 hours. What that does to our forecast here locally puts us on the dirty side of the storm, and that is why we are going to continue to seriously see a flash flood threat through the weekend and the beginning of next week. We cannot stress that enough. I tell you what, though, the National Weather Service did just put on their live chat, Darby, that right now creeks and bayous are handling the rainfall, except for South Mady and some of the high water spots that we've been hearing about from Twitter, some of the callers that are calling in, and I know some of the roadways that you're watching.
Yeah, so South Mady Creek, that's out in my neck of the woods, and my wife drove through there, and, well, as a matter of fact, I'll just take you into South Mady Creek. Did we get to run the video of Buffalo Bayou yet? Because if we didn't, I would like to show that. All right, basically, Mady Creek comes in from Katy, runs into the Addicks Reservoir, and the place where it really goes out of its banks is through Cullen Park here, and basically just north of Franz, which turns into Psalms. Psalms is still open, but I'm noticing between Greenhouse and Barker Cypress, it's really starting to get slow. That means the park is filling up with water, so I would not use Psalms Road once you get past Greenhouse now. My wife drove Greenhouse, and it still looks like there's metrics that shows Barker Cypress and Greenhouse open over Made Creek, but it is definitely out of its banks, so it's going to be right under those bridges. How much longer is it going to be that way? It's anybody's guess. So it's out of its banks. Just be careful if you're going out. I always just recommend using Fry Road. Their bridge is much higher out there. In Rosenberg, you still have Avenue I closed off at Georgia Street because of power lines down. So they're going to reroute you to Avenue J. Just be ready for that. Now let's give you some pictures of stuff that you can actually see here. I-10 the Katy Freeway. Cane Island Park is up here, and the Buc-ee's would be off to the right over there in the corner. You've got debris from our storms overnight that came through here all across the roadway here. So they've got it shut down, putting you onto the freeway itself, and then there's high water on that ramp, so be ready for that. Now I want to take you to the bayous because Cheetah was saying all the bayous are in their banks, but look here. Here's I-10 the Katy Freeway, our Houston Avenue camera, and you can see this is White Oak Bayou. And you can see, well, it's out of its banks. It's inside its boundaries, but up out of the banks. Hasn't made it on the freeway yet. The freeway's ruined just fine. Now, Thomas, did you just pull up the Buffalo Bayou shot? Okay, we're looking at Buffalo Bayou here. Look how high Buffalo Bayou is. Now, I'm guessing this is going to be Allen Parkway over here. And this is Montrose Studemont here. And you can see, hey, that underpass is actually open, so the pumps are working there. But you can see how high the bayou's up. Normally, it would be about this wide if you saw this on a regular day. Now, it's filling up quickly. Next band of rain we get, it's going to be even worse. All right, let's go back to our Houston TransStar shot. I want to take you to Brays Bayou. Here's 288 at McGregor looking down at Brays Bayou. Last time we looked, you could not even see this little rail right here. So actually, it's gone down a few inches. So when the rain lets up, the stuff is still pushing stuff off. So all of our freeways are pretty quiet at this time, guys.
So is Allen Parkway into downtown still open?
Allen Parkway's still open,
Okay.
so Buffalo Bayou still has water in there.
Got it.
Subject to change.
Signs are up for that, but
Didn't you say that?
as far as I know, Allen Parkway's good going into town.
We're going to keep you posted. I'm asking because it's right in front of our station. Selfishly, I want to know, can we get out of
That
here?
is a little selfish, but I got you covered. I got you covered.
We have our sleeping bag.